Hey everybody, Derek here to bring you another video for The Walking Dead. Countdown to the start of Season 7. And we are exactly 12 days away from the start of The Walking Dead Season 7 premiere on October 23rd. I am looking forward to the season starting. And this particular video is going to be dealing with the premiere, as I will be discussing the episode title that was recently released, what I think it means, and how I think it's going to affect the episode, as well as the plot. I'm going to discuss what I think is going to happen in the episode. If you are not caught up with The Walking Dead, I'm going to be talking about Season 6 finale. I'm going to be talking about rumors that I have heard about Season 7, as well as some other things from the comic books and the TV show. So if you are not caught up and you do not want to be spoiled in any way, exit now or you will be spoiled. Okay. So the premiere is going to be titled, "The Day Will Come When You Won't Be." And this is in direct reference to Season 1's finale, TS-19. At the end of that episode, if you remember, Dr. Jenner, who was part of the CDC, the group had gone to the CDC, intended on killing himself. He intended on committing suicide when the CDC was set to explode, since there was no more power. And he had locked the group down in the basement with him. He intended to just give them all a merciful, quick death, rather than, let them go out there, because he knew, even though he hadn't been out there, he knew that the world was going to be full of dangerous things, horrible things, and he didn't want to be a part of it, and he was trying to save the group from that. But Rick's group was able to convince him to give them a chance. So Dr. Jenner opened the doors. Rick told Dr. Jenner he was very grateful for this, and Dr. Jenner looked at Rick and said, "The day will come when you won't be." Now, since that point, I think that Dr. Jenner's statement has obviously had significance to many of the survivors, because Rick, Daryl, Glenn, Carol, and Carl are the only 5 individuals that are alive who witnessed everything at the CDC. And of course, I don't know who all heard Dr. Jenner, but I think that his statement has really been a very big theme of the show, because I'm sure that each one of them can state things that have happened to them that are very terrible. You have Rick and Carl losing Lori, you have Daryl losing Merle, Carol losing Sophia, and of course Glenn, even though he's married with Maggie, he lost his father-in-law, he lost his sister-in-law in Herschel and Beth. And I think that in many respects, maybe many of us thought that this was just a theme that was just recurring, but I think that really it is significant. I think that this is the day when finally there's not going to be something that they can do to overcome this, that in a sense they are going to be defeated. They are going to suffer such terrible things as a result of Negan that they're going to wish. I think that Rick in that moment is really going to think about Dr. Jenner and think, darn, I wish I would have listened to him. I wish I wouldn't have seen all of this happen. I wish I wouldn't have got to this point. Dr. Jenner was right. And I do have to wonder if maybe there is a point in the episode when Rick is going to relate that. I could see at the end of the episode he's talking with maybe Maggie about it. If Glenn dies, I could see maybe he's talking about it with Michonne, maybe Carl. I could see Rick having a discussion like this with somebody, but maybe not. Maybe it's just meant to signify this is finally that day where you're going to wish that you had stayed in the CDC and just had a quick death. But we'll see. But I think that it is significant. I hope that Dr. Jenner in the story does come in, and I'll be interested to see what happens. Who knows? Maybe there might be a little flashback to that moment playing in somebody's head. So we'll see what happens. Now, what do I think is going to happen in the episode? Well, obviously it's very clear. It's going to revolve around Negan, Rick's group, and figuring out, what all is going to happen as a result of Season 6's finale and Negan's actions, because we know that Negan is going to kill somebody from Rick's group. And I think that's going to happen almost right away. I could see that happening right before the first commercial break. I could see them maybe doing some kind of a flashback, and then it picks up. But I don't think they're going to mess around with the time. I don't think that they're going to make us wait 20 minutes into the episode to figure it out. I don't think that's going to happen. Very clearly, they are going to want to deal with that as soon as they possibly can, because we've been waiting, and it is a big moment. I mean, you don't start the episode with something else and then wait till the very end. It's going to happen almost right away. And obviously, I believe that it's going to be Abraham that is going to be killed. I could be wrong about that. And obviously, one of the big things that, people are questioning is it going to be just one death or will it be two? And obviously, who's it going to be? And I think the right-hand man sneak peek that they showed us very recently, I think gave me a lot of the predictions that I'm going to make here. Because I could see that happening either way. I could see it being one person. I could see it being two. But I also wonder in what order and when in the episode will it happen? Because here's my general prediction. I think that personally, Negan is only going to kill one at first. And I think that there's a very good chance it will be Abraham. I think it's going to be somebody that was on Rick's right, as you saw the blood streak on his face. The fact that Negan pointed out the idea of it being a right-hand man, I think that it is going to be a man and not a woman. And in regards to who was to Rick's right, it was Glenn, Daryl, and Abraham. And I think that it's going to be Abraham at first because, again, Abraham was the only individual other than Carl that did not show fear, did not cry, had no expression other than a blank stare or anger at Negan. And I think that Negan caught on to that. So I think that's what's going to happen. And I think that personally, I think Negan is going to be done at first. I think that that's really going to be it. I think that it's going to be Negan's going to, do what he needs to do. And then at that point, he's going to talk to the group. And if you remember in the sneak peek, Rick tells Negan, I'm going to kill you, Negan. Not today, not tomorrow, but someday I'm going to kill you. And then at that point, you see Negan kind of reacting a little bit. You see him getting in Rick's face, getting to his eye level and taunting him in a sense, saying, oh, hey, it's important to have a right-hand man. Did I just kill yours? You see the two of them talking a little bit. And then you see Negan taking Rick to the RV, and I think he's going to have a conversation with him. And I think that's going to deal with a lot of the episode. I think that what you're going to see is Rick and Negan basically, maybe Negan's probably going to do more of the talking. Rick might not do as much, but I could be wrong. And I think that what Negan's really going to be doing is that he's going to be relaying to Rick who he is and what he's about and what he stands for. I think that we are going to see Negan trying again in a different setting, not so much of a setting of, here I am, say I'm going to kill somebody. I think that he just wants to sit Rick down and, in a sense, explain himself in a different kind of setting to see if it makes Rick understand who he is, what he's about, what Negan is capable of, and just what the Saviors and the Sanctuary is about. I could also see him threatening him a little bit. Many individuals have wondered, is Rick going to lose his hand? I don't think so. I don't think that Negan is going to cut Rick's hand off, number one, because in a situation like that, that could kill Rick, and obviously that's not a good thing. Number two, that would be hard on the actor. I just don't see that happening. But I could see Negan beating Rick up. I could see him injuring him in a way that would incapacitate him for a little bit. Maybe he takes the other end of the hatchet and hits Rick on the hand with it or injures him in some other way. I could see that. But what I think that Negan is going to be doing is just really convincing Rick to listen to him, to really understand his perspective. Now, here's what I personally think is going to happen. So you have the one kill happening. You have Negan, and Rick talking because, again, Negan is going to take Rick's threat seriously. In a sense, he must realize, maybe I didn't get my message across to you yet, because the thing is, Rick's group has been so dangerous to the Saviors. They probably killed anywhere between 40 and 50 of them. He's not really going to be taking a lot of, talk back from them. So what I think is going to happen is that maybe in that RV, during the conversation, he's going to see if he broke Rick down. But then I think that when they come out, I think that personally, this is when the second kill might happen. That rumor that there might be two, I think what's going to happen is because of what Rick said, and just to get Negan's point across, I think that Negan is going to kill somebody else. And I think that then that is going to be when it's Glenn, potentially, if it is Abraham and or Glenn that will be killed. Because then I think, I could see Negan just doing it for a different reason. Maybe Rick might talk a little bit about his people and he might figure that Glenn's important. Maybe he thinks about, the fact that Glenn was so passionate about Maggie that maybe this is going to be something that would upset him. I could see a number of reasons for why that might happen. But what I think is going to happen is that Negan is going to kill the second person, if there is a second person, near the end of the episode. So he's going to come out, I think he's going to throw Rick back in line, and I think he'll either then kill the second person, maybe even use the hatchet to do it, and maybe a combination, maybe he might hit Glenn with it and then use Lucille to finish him off. I could see that. And then I might see a situation where then Negan would throw Rick's hatchet on the ground at him and say, okay, Rick, here's your chance. I could see him doing that either in the RV or in front of everybody, just so that way they can see their leader weak at this point. Because a big part in the comic books, there's a scene when after Glenn is killed by Negan that he says this. This is a quote that Rick said in the comics, which is now being said in the TV show. And Negan goes, oh, okay, here. And he throws a weapon at him and said, go ahead. Go ahead and do it, Rick. But just know that if you do it, my people are going to kill you, and then the rest of your people are going to be killed. And obviously, Rick's going to realize this. And I think that what you're going to see is that Negan will challenge Rick. I think there's a very good chance that Negan might do that either before he kills Glenn or after he kills Glenn. And then at that point, when Rick doesn't do anything, then I think that's going to be the point when Negan feels like, I got my message across to you. No more talking back. No more acting like you're tough. You're done. You know what I can do. I've made that very clear. I've made it clear twice now. And at that point, I think that you're going to then have the Saviors leave, and then Rick's group is going to go on their way to the hilltop, which is where they were going, because obviously Maggie is still going to need looked after. So I think they're going to get there, and then at that point, Maggie's going to be looked at. Maybe some other people might be looked at. I think Rick and Jesus and Gregory, some other people might have a conversation about what happened. But the other thing that I do have to wonder is, during this time period when all of this is going on, maybe to fill in the episode a little bit, maybe this might be the episode where the hilltop is attacked by the Saviors. Because clearly, as you saw in the Season 7 trailer, there were some Saviors that attacked the hilltop. You saw that that happened. Now, obviously, the big question is, was this a flashback or is this happening in the present time? Because clearly we are going to be seeing some flashbacks with the Saviors, and I could see that going either way. There's a very good chance that that might be happening in a flashback, that maybe this is in regards to when they first got introduced, or I could see it happening in the present time. And I could see that happening in the first episode, but I could see it happening later. That maybe the Saviors need to do things at different times and think things out in different ways. So I could see that happening, but I think that that's pretty much going to be the whole part of the episode. We're not going to be dealing with any of the other storylines. I think that we're really going to be dealing with Rick's group. We're going to be dealing with Negan, where I think we're going to see that it's either going to be one or two people that are killed. I think that if they do two people, that's how they're going to do it. I think that's the reasoning, the rationale they might use. I could obviously be wrong, but, that's the point of predicting. Sometimes you're right, sometimes you're wrong, and nonetheless, I still think that it is interesting to try to predict it, to see where it's going to go. And obviously, I think that the Season 7 Episode 1 premiere, I think is definitely going to illustrate a lot of things that are going to be happening throughout the rest of Season 7, and I can't wait to see it. So only 12 more days, and it's going to happen, and I think it's going to be the biggest premiere that they've ever shown, and I'm very interested to see what they do with it. So let me know what you guys think. Do you think that's what's going to happen? Have you heard something else that might be happening? Try not to spoil too much down in the comments. I know there are other people that don't know what's going to happen. So if you do discuss in the comments, try to, just make predictions, maybe focus on what I predicted, so that way we don't spoil anybody else. If you want to have a different conversation with me, don't be afraid to message me. I'm definitely very open to that. And let me know what you think. What do you think is going to happen in the premiere? Feel free to subscribe. I do have more videos coming. And if you have any suggestions for future videos that you would like to see, don't be afraid to suggest them. Have a very wonderful evening, and thank you all very much for watching.